Madam, can we start the session now? Or shall we wait for a few more minutes? I think the count has gone up to 99. Still students are joining.
I think sir is there in the meeting.
Yes,
Principal
sir
sir
has
is.
joined. Yes, sir has
Okay.
joined.
Then we start.
So we
Yeah,
can
then
start.
we can start. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, 99
Yes.
attendees have already started. Yes. I request Aarti Kuntapade, our president, Itusa, to start the session. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aarti Khochikar from the class of third year of Electrical Engineering Department and the president of the Electrical Engineering Student Association. As we all know, the world is full of diamonds and gems, and we are having some of them here today to build this event, which is going to conduct by Electrical Engineering Department in association with Institution Innovation Council on the topic of learn startup and minimum viable product or business. With this note, I would like to give my heartiest welcome to our today's guest, principal, teachers, and my friends. Now, I would like to invite Professor Gulnaz Patel ma'am, convener of IIC, to tell us about the IIC events.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you so much. Am I audible properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Professor Gulnaz Patel from Computer Science and Engineering Department and IIC Convener. Thank you and welcome you all for joining with us for this session. Today, as Aarti has already mentioned, our electrical department under Institutions Innovation Council arranged a session on learn startup and minimum viable product or business. We are very fortunate enough to get Mr. Samudragupta Talukdar and Mr. Akshay Khochikar as a resource person. We heartily welcome both of you, sir. Before starting with the actual session, I think it is best to just briefly introduce our institution's innovation council. So let me do that. The Ministry of Education, that is MOU, through MOU's Innovation Cell, that is MIC, launched the Institutions Innovation Council program in collaboration with AICTE for higher education institutions to systematically foster the culture of innovation and startup ecosystem. Our Institutions Innovation Council is actually established in 2018, and this is our third running year. This year, the IIC is revised as IIC 3.0. So let us all know our Institutions Innovation Council. Actually, in our Institution Innovation Council, there are different posts for faculties and students. And total 9 faculty coordinators are working for an IIC and 51 student coordinators are working for different posts. So the important post that is Professor S.T. Jagtap from Mechanical Department is actually working as an IIC president. Professor M.H. Naikwadi from Electrical Department is actually working as a vice president for IIC. And Professor Gulnaz Patel, that is me, is working as a convener for our IIC. And along with that, the 51 students are working with a different post as a student coordinator for our IIC. If we want to talk about the working model of our IIC, the working model of our IIC is very unique, and IIC has a very well-designed activity calendar for each of the academic year. So this calendar is actually divided into 4 different quarters. Each quarter has pre-planned activities, and all the higher education institutions which are a part of the IIC are informed to follow this calendar and conduct different activities which are targeting to develop innovation and entrepreneurship in the students. So this is all about IIC. Thank you, Aarti, for giving me an opportunity to talk about our Institutions Innovation Council. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Aarti.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Professor S.T. Jagtap, sir, President of IIC, to tell us about the IIC events.
Good afternoon, one and all. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be the part of this function. And we, on behalf of NB Navale Sinhgad College of Engineering, on behalf of IIC cell of this college, I welcome you all once again. I am also very thankful that today's chief guests, Mr. Samudragupta Talukdar, who is the founder and CEO of Cognilements, and Mr. Akshay Khochikar, who is the Chief of Product and Innovation Co-founder. Our Honorable Principal and Vice Principal will tell you about our achievements of our cell since last 3 years. Later on, I would like to talk today about what we have done in this Q3 and Q4 and continue to be doing in this session. In Q3 and 4, we had organized one guest lecture of IPR on 6/3/21, and then we had one session on business model canvas. We also had one session of our vice principal, prototype and process design and development on 6th of April. And today we have our session, which is going on, that is lean startup and minimum viable product business. On 24th of this month, we had organized DISTA, and in that DISTA, we had taken one beach talk where students from all the colleges of engineering and diploma had participated and shown some good business models, namely the carbon tile, then hybrid vehicles, my partners, veggie fresh. These were the projects which were related to the present pandemic situations, and they had got a good idea about supply of vegetables cut fresh and to be supplied to the all the consumers. Also, one of the project from civil engineering, they were asking about manufacturing of carbon tile along with the crushed powder of marble to have a nice aesthetic tiles. And one of the students, Mr. Kore, and they had talked about my partner, means considering the present scenario, the online lectures or they had thought of having the online curriculum with partners, just like ACE and Byju's. We also had conducted, participated in MIC-driven activities, which include from your PhD and master thesis to the startup by Mr. Anand Deshpande. And recently, that is yesterday only, why IPE is important in academia by Mr. Mohit Gambhir. Still, in this semester, we have planned to have the sessions on acceleration, incubation, and opportunities, and also orientation session by the innovation ambassadors to just throw a light on today's session with the consent of our guests and our honorable principal and vice principal. Basically, the topics that we have up till now covered is in connection with the entrepreneurship and startup. A startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And our honorable guests will talk about these uncertainties, which be related to technical, that is product risk, customers, that is market risk, then the business model risk. And in this, they will be telling us about how the hypothesis is done, and after several iterations and knowing the market, how the product is made successful. This is means many of the mechanical students are participating in this. So I can say that this is just like driving a new vehicle, means how to drive, how to steer, how to turn, and how to preserve and accelerate. So in this, we have the pyramid of vision, strategy, and production. And as far as lean production is concerned, from lean production to innovation, as all the engineers of our this civil, mechanical, electrical, computer, and electronics branch know about how we have to tackle with customers, how we have to eliminate the waste, how we have to shrink the batch size, or so on. So just I was going through the details. Just I came to know the three examples about the gas turbines, which were manufactured by General Electrics. And through the hypothesis and through the iterations, they have designed the turbine 2 years faster and with 40% cheaper rate. So today's topic is of much more importance. I request all the students to listen it carefully and take the benefit of it, because this will be helping them to be the future successful entrepreneur and also the future managers of tomorrow. So with this, I once again welcome our guests. Over to you. This is from my side, Miss Arti Kundipale.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to invite Professor V.S. Biradar, sir, HOD of Electrical Engineering Department, to express their views.
Thank you, Aarti. This is V.S. Biradar, HOD of Electrical Engineering Department of our institute, NB Navale, Sinhgad College of Engineering. Our respected principal, Navale sir, Vice Principal, Dr. Vyavahare sir, Samudragupta Talukdar, who is my student also. So I welcome again with Akshay Khochikar and all dear faculty members and student friends. We usually arrange such kind of things just for the benefit and just to give glimpse of the things that whatever the entrepreneurship and how to grow, what are the difficulties. So this must be known by person who is going through all these stages, and these are to be explained to the students so that they get some idea and they will have the path for not going to the things which are required for them and not required for them. Like that, the students have to be familiar with the concepts of the process which are to be followed. So usually we arrange in our electrical engineering department, few times we arrange such expert lectures or guest lectures, and by taking these lectures, the students are developing. Few of our students, they have started their own firms in the field of solar, in the field of the contractorship also. They have started their own firms, which will be helpful for their future. So I thank you, Naikwadi sir and the IIC cell for arranging such events to the benefit of the students. So thank you from my side. Please, Aarti, you can continue.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would request to Dr. R.T. Vyavahare, sir, HOD of Mechanical Engineering Department and the Vice Principal of our college, to express their views.
Okay, thank you, Aarti. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good afternoon to all. Respected principal, sir. I first welcome today's resource persons, Samudragupta, founder and CEO of Cognilements, and his partner, I may say, Akshay, for joining this session, for guiding the students and whole of the gathering. So I'll not be taking much of the time because all are eagerly waiting to listen to the main speakers. But I am proud today because one of my good student, that is Samudragupta, he is here as a COO, because speaker, no doubt he will be speaking. But what I am uh, proud, feeling proud, is that he is as a CO, he is coming in this session and he is guiding to my students. It is very good, proud feeling for me. So thank you, Samudragupta, for sparing the time and accepting the invitation. Now, second thing, so friends, today, see, if you see, it is a world of internet. Everybody is searching the internet, YouTube and Google and all these things, and everybody is eagerly wanting that yes, I should start the startup or I should start the business, etc. And whatever the information is on the internet, so they feel that yes, it is a oh great idea, and without knowing the you can say small things of the business and startups, so all of a sudden they uh, take the jump in that, and they go ahead, and after some time they feel that it is not cup of my tea, and then they wind up. So many of the things, businesses, startups, it happens like this only. So, friend, so today is the topic, same topic is the lean startup. And so, definitely, today's speakers will make you aware. So, what are the difficulties that you will be facing, and what precautions you have to take? How, rather, how to select the good product, or rather, how to start the business, and how to means within very small cost, how we should run or start. Because basic meaning of the lean startup is that only. So, with zero money you should start the business, and with or zero in the sense that with very least investment you should start. Otherwise most of the people say, so I don't have the office, I don't have the computers, I don't have the infrastructure, and because of that I could not start the business. But that is not the thing. So initially those who want to start the business, they should start with maybe literally zero investment, then only will succeed. I think this is what is my from my side actually. So I'll not take much of the time. So once again I welcome you all in this session, and I believe that as a part of the Sinhgad, so definitely you will be having very good such sessions for you. And IIC cell, I congratulate IIC cell and coordinators for truthful programs, and very good informative and useful programs that they are arranging. And not only they are arranging randomly, they are having the full yearly plan for the events. So accordingly these events are happening, and very good planning, with very good planning the events are happening. So I congratulate all of them. So all the audience, I request that be patient, maintain the patience in this session, and be attentive rather, and listen to the judges, speakers. Ask some questions if you have. So I once again I thank the speaker Samudragupta and Akshay for accepting and coming over here. So thank you. Over to you, Aarti.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. S.D. Nawale, sir, principal of our college, to guide us.
Hello. Hello, Aarti. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. This is Dr. Navale. Today, I'm once again very happy to welcome our guest, Mr. Samudragupta, and his colleague, Mr. Akshay, on behalf of NB Navale Sinhgad College of Engineering. We have in this gathering our vice principal, head of the vice principal, and head of the mechanical engineering department, HOD electrical engineering department, the president, the coordinators, vice president of IIC, and all the students who are involved in IIC. Dear friends, this is a very good opportunity, let me tell you. The topic on which Mr. Samudragupta and his colleague Akshay are going to talk is basically related with the start. As Professor Biradar and Professor Vyavahare, they have already mentioned that Samudragupta is one of the very bright student. I know him personally because I have also seen him. He has had so many products and where he was working with, and now he is a CEO of Cognilements, where we had already signed MOU with Cognilements. It's like our fortune to be associated with this kind of like the startup. And of course, in his talk, he will definitely let us know. Recently, he has got very good national level award. Of course, he will be talking. Samudragupta. Am I audible once again? Sorry for interruption. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Am
You
I
are
audible?
audible.
Yeah. Okay. Samudragupta and his company, they have recently received one national level award. Would like to congratulate him and his like organization for getting that award. And coming to IIC, as we have IIC Institute Innovation Council at our college, I would like to let our guests know that IIC of NB Navale Sinhgad College of Engineering has received 4.5 star rating out of 5-star rating from Ministry of Education. Even last year, we have got the national level recognition from Patel ranking at the institute level for the innovation achievements. And that was also a national level achievement. And of course, Sinhgad Solapur was one of the recipient of that award. And we basically, these awards are basically related with the students' innovation and entrepreneurship, where we motivate our students to be the the part of innovations and like entrepreneurs. We motivate them for to be entrepreneurs. And because of these initiatives, because of the students' involvement, we have got these kind of recognitions. Professor Mudassar Naikwadi, Professor Jagtap, Professor Patel, ma'am, all of them are very actively involved in all these kind of activities. And our students are also, you could have seen in last week only, one of our students group from ENTC, they have developed the artificial oxygen like supply process for the patients in this like COVID situation. These kind of innovative projects are being done. We always have seen that the students of our college are doing some or the other innovative projects, and they are converted in a products also. That is what the tradition of our institute. Our students are also very innovative, and that's why we are getting some kind of recognition. I want these to be continued. And with this like very short talk, I will not take much of your time because we have to listen to Samudragupta and Mr. Akshay. I would like to once again welcome both of them on behalf of our Sinhgad Institute Solapur, and would like to hand over to them. Thank you. Thank you, Arti.
Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance. Now, I would like to invite Professor MECH Naikwadi, sir, Vice President of IIC and coordinator of today's event, to introduce our today's guest.
Yeah. A very good afternoon to one and all. Respected Principal Sir, Vice Principal Sir, HOD Sir, office bearers of IIC, student coordinators, and faculty and all student participants. Okay. It is my privilege to introduce Mr. Samudragupta Talukdar. Actually, there is a long list for introduction, his achievements, but I would like just to highlight a few of them because in the interest of time. Mr. Samudragupta Talukdar, he has a prior experience of working. He started his career working with many renowned companies. Like he has been working at Satyam, then Iron Mountain as a business analyst. Then he worked with even Xerox company as a solution architect. Okay, so after having such a wide background experience, he started up his own startup. He was the founder and director of Tutel Minds Techno Consultants Private Limited in Mumbai. After heading it for 5.5 months, okay, 5 years and 4 months, okay, he has now started with a new company, Cognilements, in I think in June 2018. So he is the CEO and founder of Cognilements. Let me tell you that he is a serial entrepreneur, meaning after gaining an experience in industry, okay, he has started two own ventures. So starting a startup is a very difficult task, and sustaining the startup is much more difficult, because I would just like to bring to your notice that there was a survey by IBM Institute of Business Value and Oxford Economics, that their study found that 90% of the Indian startups fail within the first 5 years, and this is due to lack of innovation and unique business models. Okay, and you can see that we have so many startups coming up, but few of them could excel and reach that unicorn level. Okay, so when it will reach that multi-billion dollar company. Okay, so Samudra, because see, Samudra has started his own company. So his company has been incubated in the incubation center of prestigious Savitribai Phule Pune University, which we all know, well known as a Pune University. So when they incubate a company, there has to be a very strict competition because so many people will come with so many ideas. So Samudra's company and their ideas was selected, and they have been incubated. So they are using the office space of SPPU campus incubation center, and they are having their headquarters there, and they are operating from there. Okay. And recently his company, okay, they have also made up into the top 15 finalist of Amazon Sambhav challenge. So it was an entrepreneurship challenge of the year 2021, and he was amongst the top 15. Okay, so this was just a brief profile of Samudra. And I would also like to add that Samudra is also on our board of committee members for formulating the National Innovation and Startup Policy. So this initiative was taken from the initiatives of MOE, Ministry of Education. We have taken the guidelines from Ministry of Education, and we had formed a committee for NISP, and we have our own institute's own National Innovation and Startup Policy. So this policy is in line with our NISP 2019, which was floated by Government of India. So I would like to appeal all the students in this gathering that they can visit our college website. They can go to the tab of NISP. They can download that policy. So this policy speaks about everything, like when the student has to start his venture, okay, what type of support they can get from the college, okay, what type of mentoring support, what type of incubation support they can able to get from the college. So all the policy guidelines have been framed in that policy document. So Samudra was part of this framing of this document along with so many other external faculties, external members also. So this was the introduction of Samudra, and I would also like to uh, introduce Mr. Akshay Khochikar. Okay, so he is a IIT graduate, and he has been also a serial entrepreneur, and he is also a co-founder at Cognilements, which is basically a CX IT company. Okay, so now this Akshay, he is actually heading the uh, innovation and product innovation and product division. Okay, so he's expertise rest in these product innovations. Okay, so we have a very good speaker at our perusal. So I request all the students to be patient listeners and try to gain maximum from their talks. Okay, and note down all the things. Okay, if you have any doubts or anything about the session, we can have a short question answer session at the end. Okay, so with this, I now I would like to invite the speakers to start their sessions. Okay, so thank you. Over to you, Aarti.
Thank you so much, sir, for introducing us with such a great personality. Now, I request our today's resource person to start the session.
Hello everyone, I'm Samudragupta. Along with my partner Akshay Khochikar, and we would be going ahead with the presentation. Akshay, if you can just turn on your camera, and would like to introduce Akshay and I, who heads Cognilements for some time right now, and I would like to first introduce Akshay. Akshay basically a partner at Cognilements, who is a passionate technocrat from IIT Guwahati, serial future tech entrepreneur since graduation, and polymath with varied interest across technology, design, music, movies, and art. He is a product visionary driving the technology offerings and innovative solutions in Cognilements, which is fueled by his passion to solve enterprise and MSME level programs with innovative, engaging, immersive, and adaptive digital solutions. Working on his passion and vision for building future tech solutions that really have an impact and impact business. He leads innovation and product strategy while dabbling in product design, marketing, and fun meetings. So he's Akshay Khochikar, who would be basically talking a lot about on the concept of lean startup and innovations, and that's all from my end for Akshay.
Thanks, Samudra. So, yeah, I would like to basically introduce Samudra as well. He is the founder CEO of Cognilements, a visionary sales guy, right, with an intimate understanding of the sales across industries, and across the international markets, given his experience. He has an impressive grasp of technology and its use and the way we build product, right? He is a wizard who actually takes it to market, right? And as you will learn as you go through Lean Startup, how both of our functions work together. He is well equipped, with even full techno sales career in Fortune 500 companies like Xerox, Iron Mountain, and so on. And in the company, he leads marketing strategy, dabbles in sales, and mentors client servicing and operations functions. Yeah.
Right.
So,
So
Samudra, would you like to introduce what we do?
right.
Yeah.
Right. So Akshay, yeah, if you can present the screen parallelly, it would be great. So guys, what we'll do is we'll make this session a very much interactive one where we can coordinate. So whatever questions you have, you can ask us. Feel free where you can interact. We would like to share stuff which are quite practical in nature, which we are facing day in, day out, which we are trying to resolve. And these are more industry related problems and where we had been growing. So let me tell you about Cognilements. Yeah, Akshay.
And the idea is that basically we cover, all of these topics and all of these concepts with stories from our current venture and ventures from our past, and how and basically in an attempt to show you how relatable and how useful all of these concepts are.
To that. All right. So when we started Cognilements, so Akshay and I both come with an experience of leading, previous startups. And I personally have worked with a couple of Fortune 500 and 100 companies where I was working as a solution architect and many more. So the journey from being an employee to an entrepreneur was quite different because it takes a lot out of you. And when we started Cognilements, it was like more of what we are going to do. And with our research and all, we envisioned that we will be world's #1 customer experience company. A word which is pretty new to the market, a word which most of the people thought what you are going to do. And with that concept, when we started Cognilements way back in 2018, June, July, when we incorporated the organization, it started with the name. So what does it mean? So basically, it's from the elements of cognizance. So we both do not come with a lot of money. We had to start from zero funding, zero money, and we have to go to the market and sell our ideas. And we started with consulting projects where we can go convince any customers, help them to solve their problem statements with the intellectual property what we have. So Cognilements as an organization is basically made up of from the elements of cognizance, which means like every individual at Cognilements comes with a good amount of exposure, experience, and learning, which they can utilize to solve problems. And we did not want it to be a services company, although we started as a services company to start with. But our main idea was to go to the market, understand the market's requirements, solve the problem, and build the product from then and there itself. And to which we had the first success story of creating world's first virtual reality exhibition for the Pune real estate market. This was way back in 2019, and we just thought of how to do this, and we approached and we convinced 25 odd real estate projects to participate. So what we did in that experience is like we believed in creating something which can be accessed through mobile or internet, sitting anywhere out of the out of the region, and you can roam around with something called as virtual reality. And it went so good that we got ICICI Bank as a principal sponsor for that event, and they came down and they said we want to be part of this initiative, along with world's largest internet kitchen, that is Rebel Foods. So you might have heard about Pasos, Behrus, Mandarin Oaks, Sweet Truth, Owen Story. Those are the brands which were associated with us. And that 1 month of exercise was quite interesting for our entrepreneurship career. And from there, we started building a product which was just in time when the pandemic just started. And when I say just in time, it was like when we made the product or platform. It is basically a platform based on which we are developing certain products, which is designed to sell high value SKUs or items like real estate property, automobile showrooms, virtual events, and many more. And to that, when we inbuilt, most of the features, we created a platform, and from that platform, we took it up to a certain level that today, 7 out of 10 top real estate clients across India are using our platform during the second wave of pandemic. And trust me, the names are quite huge, like Hiranandani, Embassy, which is India's #1 real estate company, Poddar Group, Runwal Group, and many more. And eventually, we did recently at Pune University. So last year, we stood #1, ranked #1 as a startup who got incubated in Pune University. And we are lucky enough where, apart from the incubation center, the government of India and Pune University decided to give an office space, a dedicated office space of near about 2,000 square feet and above for Cognilements. So there are just two companies which is residing inside the Research Foundation Park, one being Kirloskar and second being us, apart from the incubation center. And from there we had been building today. We started with a couple of people, and today we are 32 plus. In a couple of weeks from now, maybe May first week or second week, we would be somewhere around 50 plus people. And the growth has been tremendous. Like last time when the pandemic started, it was more of like, what are we going to do? We are in a brink of finding out something which can resolve the problem. And it was like quite encouraging. So we were 7 people, and till last week or this week we are 32, which is 4x jump. And by next couple of weeks, we will go to somewhere around 7x jump. Number wise, we have done decent revenue. We are a bootstrap company. When I say bootstrap, it's like you build something, you sell something, you earn your revenue, and then based on that, you run the company. So what we have been doing is, ideally, our first idea and the thing is, we would be going and selling our product. We want the market to accept what we are bringing. And what we are doing right now is a platform which is created to boost sales digitally. That's like physical and digital part of it. Now, this is the journey in the last 2.5. This year, we are going to be 3-year-old company on the longest day of Northern Hemisphere, that's 21st of June. And in 3 years of entrepreneurship, people end up saying, especially in Gujarat, in Marwadis and all of those people, कि अगर आपकी कंपनी 1000 दिन टिक गई तो समझो कुछ तो अच्छा किया है या टिक जाएगी. So we are almost like in a month from now, we would be crossing 1,000 days and all. And trust me, this had been a roller coaster kind of a journey. It's not that easy. Every day we wake up with a new challenge, with a new problem statement, and by the end of the day, we solve it. Today, just to inform you, the organization is divided into people who are like chiefs, like Akshay heads the complete product and innovation wing coming from IIT Guwahati, fine product who understand what to build and how to build for the international and domestic market. We do have a couple of more, 3-4 more guys from IIT Guwahati joining hands. We have another chief coming from Surat. We have a chief who has come with 20 years of experience, who leads the sales vertical. So it's a deadly combination of people coming together, expecting one vision to take it through, and that's what we call this entrepreneurship. So people believe that, okay, fine, let's do job, let's get into entrepreneurship, let's go. But what is entrepreneurship actually about? You have one idea, you put all your guts together, and you believe in that idea, and you believe in that idea to such a level that you want to go beyond achieving anything and everything. And today we are at the same phase. Today 32 of us believe in one vision, that every individual, when they talk about in next 3 to 5 years, then they should find the world's #1 CX company to be Cognilements. Maybe in India today we are, because there are not many people who are working in the space of customer experience, which in itself is the biggest revolutionary thing to come in the future, where we use all the latest technologies, okay, all the latest technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, business process automation, and many more. And trust me, when we talk about a startup or an entrepreneurship, you just need to have that one idea and you need to believe that idea. But that idea needs to be foolproof. You need to do research. You need to identify that whether this idea is going to sustain the pressure of the market, because it's the ocean of alligators where you will find a lot of them making the complete ocean from blue to the red part of it. And we were one among them. When we entered, we did not have any product. Trust us. Like, we had a concept and we wanted to hit the market. And it was one fine day when Akshay and I were at Ramoji Film City, and we were proposing them. And then we found it's not the problem with the MSME or SME. It's the problem with big guys like Ramoji Film City. And trust us, most of our customers are the top of the pyramid, like who are earning into $1 billion on year, in 1,000 crores on year. And we found this is the problem with the whole ecosystem. Today, we are looking forward to build an ecosystem from the startup point of view and to take it forward. And where it started was innovation. So that evening, it started with where Akshay and I were sitting, and we both are foodies. We love, the way to go ahead and discuss about our ideas. So most of the ideas have come across the lunch and the dinner table for Cognilements. And that's the start where we started. And today, from there, we focus on innovations a lot. Our whole day, everything starting from the beginning of the day till the end, we talk about innovation, what we can bring next. And every day, a customer will wake up and say, "Hame ye chahiye." Okay, ho jayega. This is what our project manager says. Technology hai na, to ho jayega. Baki aap tension mat lo. And so does it happen. And then we got incubated in Pune University for the ideas and the innovations what we are bringing. So it needs to be, groundbreaking. It needs to be different. And we tried doing it, and it was not tough. And that's all from our side. I will be coming at the later half. I would give the presentation rights to Akshay to take it forward. And trust me, Akshay is from IIT. I passed out from a nearby college of your district only, which is College of Engineering, Pandharpur, way back in 2007. So things are not very difficult. Let's talk, discuss. Wherever you need help, we would like to extrapolate and take it forward from there. Akshay, over to you.
So yeah, hi everyone. Basically, what we are here to discuss today are concepts, which have been highlighted by many of the software, software industry stalwarts, right? The framework or the concept is lean startup, right? And it is basically a methodology, right? A step-by-step methodology for how can you work on and build your ideas into sustainable businesses, right? What all would it involve? and how we can do it with the least, with the least amount of resources, while making sure that we are failing enough and we are failing fast, right? Uh, the reason this topic is very, very dear to me is this is something which I have followed across all of my, technology entrepreneurship, right? And even with Cognilements, we are a bootstrap company. We started with with no resources and 3 people, right? And we started with a vision, with an idea, and from there, being bootstrapped, you know just using sales and just using you know revenue that is coming in, we have been able to grow the company from you know from almost nothing, right? A services company that we started, 3 of us started, into a company which in this last pandemic year has recorded, you know, worth crores of order, right? And we have a team of 32 plus people, right? And more interns joining in. When companies are laying off people, we are able to get interns and build more, service more clients, right? And so that is, so from my experience and from what I have followed is where all of this knowledge is coming from, all of this discussion that I'm trying to have today is coming from, right? So let's start on this, right? Firstly, it is entrepreneurship, right? Startup or entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship, right? Or what is startup? It is, so to explain it in a better way, right? Do we have any Benedict Cumberbatch fans in the call? The fans probably know the movie Imitation Game. A good example that I'm going to take for the next slide, but for the others who do not know, right, we can also use Doctor Strange, the MCU movie. I'm guessing that is something which everybody knows. So if we draw parallels, right, even Doctor Strange is a entrepreneurship story, right? Hero faces a problem. He has a crash. He has a nice career, but then because of a crash, he is not able to get back to it. His problem is his hands, etc. won't work. He tries very hard and gets an idea for what could be the solution, right? Step 2, he works on that solution, learns, innovates, builds his teams, right? Learns new spells, whatnot, right? The step 3rd is first impact, right? That is when he faces his first enemy, or basically in terms of startup, we face our first client, and we lose, basically, right? That is where we learn. Basically, we understand what we are trying to take to the market is not good enough, and then we go to step 4, where he goes back to work, he improvises, improves his abilities, and in terms of startup product market fit, tweaks it, and then finally step 5, takes on his client, right? He had come to bargain. Right? So this is basically the same as an entrepreneur's story, right? It's a hero's journey, basically. Normally, movies tend to focus on step 1 and step 5, and even sometimes step 3, right? But they leave step 2 and 4, or cover it in a time lapse montage, like for example when he's learning spells and stuff, right? Um, But here's the thing, for entrepreneurs, that those step 2 and step 4 are arguably the most important aspects of starting up. And that is, and how to do that, how to go from step 2, step 3, and step 4 is what we are going to be focusing on today. Right? Those are the steps where we innovate and build the startup to be a sustainable business. But well, again, step 2 to step 4, the thing is, honestly, they are really, really slow, and they are complex, and they are nuanced, and honestly, they are boring at times, right? No amount of movie magic has been able to change that. So most of the movies, they just skip that part. So here's the thing, right? Startups, by definition, are an experiment, right? We as entrepreneurs, we start with extreme uncertainty. We do not know who the customer is, yeah, like what is their behavior going to be, how is our idea going to be adopted by the customer, what is the real market around this, right? Can we monetize it? Can we build a sustainable business around it? And sure, your idea is the perfect solution. When you think about it, for you, it's the perfect solution. Maybe even for your friends, it's the perfect solution. But just on the basis of that, it would be a blind arrow in the dark, right? Like, this is the idea, let's completely build it, ship it, and then we'll see if users use it or not. At that point, we have wasted precious time, we have wasted precious resources, in order to just put out, and then, coming to know that maybe that is not what the users want, or that is not what can be used, in the market, or that is something that is not monetizable or not feasible in the given market. So here comes, given the uncertainties, this is something which is important for us to put forth, right? As a startup, as an entrepreneur, this is something that is very important for everybody to understand, right? Traditionally, when we are doing work, or when we are employed with larger companies, or larger companies are building products, right? In established companies building defined products and features, we have known problems, right? This is a problem which they are facing, and also we have known solutions, right? This is the solution that we want to do. And in those scenarios, right, it's fairly straightforward to implement those solutions. We need to make those into requirements, design specs, KPIs, so on, right? And then it goes to the execution team to build. One step further is where we come into the software domain, right? Where traditional companies would know the problems that they are facing, but they would not necessarily know the solutions, right? And the solutions would be figured out by the execution team, right? The coders, the engineers. At that point, we have something which is known industry-wide as agile, right? So we define what the problem is. The problem is known, but the solution is not, and we try to figure out the solution. We try to iteratively figure out the solution. But when building startups, right, when building an innovative idea into a business, the main issue is that problems as well as solutions are unknown, right? We do not know the users or the user base that could use it, or that is going to use it. We do not know how their behavior is going to be, right? For example, to me, a game for teenagers, mobile-based game is a fantastic idea given all the concept, etc. But I do not know for sure if I build it all the way and then give it to teenagers, are they going to sign up, right? Are they going to download the app? Are they going to be interested in that game? We do not know, right? So problems as well as solutions are unknown, and that is where you innovate, right? And building on those ideas, we need to focus on how can we go from idea to a business where we know the problems, we know the solutions, and now we need to execute, right? This is just a statistical truth, right? No matter how brilliant we are, no matter how good we are with the work that we are doing, most ideas that come out are terrible businesses. They might be good ideas in themselves as a solution, but they are terrible businesses, right? The startup is an experiment. You start with a theory or hypothesis of a solution, right? That this is something that is affecting these users, and this is my hypothesis or this is my theory as to how it can be solved, right? And what ends up happening is we either trust on that theory itself, right? That the theory in of itself is true, right? And we move ahead, assuming that our idea is a fabulous business, right? Or else what we can do is, look at that idea and build it, iteratively build it towards a business. So here is the question today, right? Given software products, we can build any idea that you have, we can build it, right? If you are starting from scratch, given there is no bounds on what solution are you to be using, what stack are you to be using, is it a physical product, is it a software product? There is for most of the ideas, there is nothing that cannot be built, right? But the question today is, should those ideas be built, right? And why they should be built? With their uncertainties and about the user market, all of that, right? Are those ideas worth building out into businesses? And is there a potential for it to be a sustainable business, right? So, and this is the ultimate thing that we want to know, right? That we all want to know. Everybody who wants to be entrepreneur wants to know this, right? Is his idea going to succeed or fail? And the thing is, most ideas that startups start on will fail, right? Most ideas, because most ideas are terrible businesses, this is bound to happen. There is so much that needs to go right, right? Situationally, condition wise, there is so much that needs to go right for a startup and for an idea to become a monetized, successful, sustainable business. But knowing this, the ability to constructively handle failure and learn from it, right? To iteratively over multiple versions, build better solutions, is a crucial skill that underlies every successful startup today. From stories of Facebook to Google, so on, right? Facebook was earlier just a campus repository of everybody, right? And we just showed two people's faces for people to vote on. That, and from there, Facebook has come a long way, where they are focusing and investing on virtual reality and the and a virtual social network for people to come and interact with, right? Now this is basically where we look at ideas, their limitations, how they are performing, and use our learnings from the failures to build a better solution, to build a better version, to build a better product for the market. Now lean startup, right? That concept gives us a framework to go through this phase, right? And use the impending failures to learn and iterate as fast and with as less building as possible. So that is lean startup. The idea here is that ideas need to be first developed and validated iteratively, learning from the failures that we face along the way, right? It's not a given, it's not a fair assumption to just assume our first idea, our first solution is going to be the one that will work wonders for our product. The idea here is validated learning, right? Is basically learning from experiment, from implementing those ideas, and from other concepts, basically, where we are ourselves doing the experiments and understanding what parts of our ideas work, what parts need improvement, right? And how do we get, closer and closer to being a sustainable business. So validated learning, learning is an important aspect, across any subject, as we have known, right? Be it mechanical, be it electrical, anything we have learned from school till college and what we'll keep learning afterwards in the industry. Learning is an important aspect. But at the same time, common wisdom tells us to learn from third party sources, right? Right now we are learning from books, from papers, from research papers, so on. And the idea is that it will A, help us, understand concepts, and B, it helps us avoid mistakes that they highlight, right? But when it comes to ideas, right, what about ideas that you have had instead of subjects which are, fairly commonplace, fairly popular? What happens when it is your idea? Who is the competent authority to learn about your ideas? And how successful can your idea be? Obviously you cannot be, right? Because it is your idea. You already feel it's the best idea out there. Your friends, again, no, right? Ideas are ideas. We all know about them. All we know about them are how subjectively, good and awesome they feel to us or they feel to our friends, right? So who is the competent authority? It's not, it's not the one whose idea it is. It is the customers who are going to use that idea, right? They are the competent authority because they are going to let you know, right, if your idea is going to work in the real world. If we build your idea out and put it out in the real world, is that going to work for customers, right? So validated learning is learning for, learning from experimenting with the idea, and not just the idea but also its customers, to understand user behavior and engagement with that idea, right? Does it solve the problems you think it solves, right? How good it is at solving those problems. Lean startup framework gives you steps and a framework as to how you can iteratively use validated learning, right? Now here's here's a story that I would want to share, especially about our own startup, right, and what we are doing. So when we started, basically we started with with a vision, with an idea as to what we wanted to do, how we wanted to help MSMEs and businesses, right? The idea was that we build a common platform or a or a collection of modules, right, that we can use to service most of the MSMEs and enterprises. And the idea there was to include all of the new technologies, right? There are, for example, there are in customer relationship management, there is Salesforce since far long, right? We all know about Salesforce and we know how it is helping different companies to work and to cope with customer relationship management. But moving forward, right, given it is now the digital age where not just the companies are digital, consumers are also digital, right? Consumers are also coming from all different touch points to the company. So our idea was that we will step by step build these modules and use them as a platform to service these requirements of these businesses and of clients going forward as a product. And what we started, right, was just that idea, right? And not no product, right? Because what we needed is to understand how will that idea work out, how various aspects of that idea will work out for enterprises, right? And given ours was an enterprise solution, it was a fairly easy next step right? For us, but when you are looking at consumer-facing startups, it is even easier. So, for if at all you are thinking of starting a specialized specialized brand of bottled water or specialized brand of mineral oils, right? For you to validate if your idea works, right? All you do not need the final product. You do not need all of the logistics and delivery in place. You do not even need to have the apparatus to make the oil, right? Or make the bottled water. All you need is a website, which asks people to sort of register for your newsletter, or sign up for your public beta, right? Your public testing, basically. And that will give you how interested people are, right? So you will understand if 100 people are coming to your webpage and reading what you have to offer. If you understand only 1% of them are interested to get the product, you understand how that product will work with the market, right? Is that idea worth investing more resources on? And versus that, if you get, say, 10% or 20% of people are actually asking to get the testers to get bottled water from you, or are signing up to be your clients, right? That tells you what how much is the need in the market, or how much are users actually interested about the product you are putting out, right? So this is the loop, basically, right? We'll go through each step of this, and we'll look at how each step contributes in us improving ideas step by step, right? The core idea here is that we look at our solutions and ideas with a perspective of experiments designed to explore and validate our ideas, right? Instead of a perspective of the God solution. God solution is basically, whatever the idea that I have come up with is the best solution out there, right? Customers are not going to be able to resist my solution at all. That's a God solution perspective. So instead of that, how we look at ideas is as something that needs to be experimented with, and as something that needs to be understood, whose market behavior needs to be understood, right? So we start from just a minute. So we start from ideate, right? That is the first step. So basically, we have our whatever our idea is. Say we want to sell bottled water, right? We start from there, and we build the minimum version that we would need, right? Say, what do I need to validate the idea that I can sell new brand of mineral water, right? Say, all I need is a web page, right, where users can come in and sign in for pre-orders. Now, that is something which you can build relatively fast, right? You put in analytics, you are looking at events and user behavior. That comes into measure, right? Here, measure, we are looking at how users are interacting with that page, right? We are taking various metrics, like, for example, time users have spent on that page. That will give you how much interested they were. Have they actually given you their email and signed up for pre-orders? Did they just exit from there? What was the bounce percentage, right? From there, we go to analyzing what we have learned from this solution, right? Say, for example, if the measurement tells us people spent 5 minutes, right, on an average on the website, but didn't click on or didn't pre-order, right? That could be indicative of the fact that the messaging which is on the website, right, is not very understandable. It's not something that the users are easily able to comprehend, or easily able to understand what it is that you are trying to sell. Similarly, if we have a lot of people who are signing up, right, but they are not spending as much time on the website, for example, you realize that there is something wrong with your CT or with your messaging, that it's too generic a product, right? It's too generic that people are not even looking into the details of your messaging and so on. From this, you learn basically what we can do better, right? What it is that would say if we have low pre-orders, right? Learning is basically where we look at, this is what we have analyzed, and the issue is with my messaging or with the product that I'm offering, right? That we are looking at here in learning. And from there, we go back to our ideation, right? Say our next idea is, what normal bottled water is not working. What I will do next, what I will offer next is, say, mint infused water. What about that, right? Or else we say, on the website, the CTA is not prominent enough. That's why nobody is clicking it. I make it bigger. Okay? I make the email field, the registration field basically bigger, and see what happens next, right? And then we go in this loop again, right? Then we build out that idea, we measure that, right? Again, we analyze, we learn what has happened. Now, have we performed better than the last time? Have we done, have we been able to improve our core metrics, or what we are trying to drive, has that improved, right? If not, we change the idea, we work on it. If it has improved, by how much has it improved, what more we can do to improve it, right? Ultimately, this is basically an application of scientific process, but applied to building ideas into products and solutions, right? But again, here is a question, right? What is it that we are trying to do? Right? Why are we doing all of this? So, is it to be a successful startup? Indeed, that is something that we are trying to do. That is the end goal. That is true, right? But what are we trying to achieve from this, this specific framework? The lean startup framework is a means to optimize the exploration and learning, right? We have established most of our ideas are going to fail, right? Now, what we need a framework for is to understand how we are going to learn from these, right? How are we going to polish those ideas into businesses, into actual products that users would buy out there? Most so here, the thing with just a second, sorry for the noise. Yeah, so the thing here is, what we are trying to do with this cycle is, optimize exploration and optimize, learning, so that, by having a framework to fail and learn before we define our product, gives us more control over how we fail and how we, move towards success. How we look at, how we look at experiments in terms of product, right? Mostly when we look at startup stories and etc., right, what comes to our mind is, Zomato, for example, is like Zomato must have started with food delivery and it clicked, right? And it has been working for them since so long. Same for Flipkart, right? They started selling things and it's been working good for them so far. But then when we look at the journeys of those startups, right, we see Flipkart actually started with selling books, right, in a very limited location, where the founders were themselves then procuring books from the from the shops and then delivering to their users in Bangalore area. And from there, it has grown, and they have validated what the ideas are, right? They have validated how users would use their product. And then they have grown and build a complete e-commerce empire of their own. So the most important part here, right, is given the loop, we always, whenever we start a business, right, we have a given runway. If we have funding, the runway is larger. If we don't, the runway is smaller, right? That in 6 months, say, you will run out of your savings. In maybe in a year, your teammates also will, run out of patience, run out of time, whatever. Now, the idea is for us to shorten one iteration of the complete loop, right? Going from ideation to learning and back to ideation in the shortest amount of time possible, right? With the most detailed, comprehensive measurements as possible. So that is where minimum viable product comes in. So here it is basically, when we go from idea to the building phase, right? What we need to look at is what we are building. Is that, is all of that needed for us to validate the idea itself, right? So if we take out everything that is not needed, say, for example, if we want to just look at a web page where, we want to understand if users will be interested, right? I just make a login. I just make a single page website with a with the email submit link, right? The question here is, does the submit button even need to work, right? Do I actually need their email IDs to validate the idea? No, we don't, right? So it would not even matter if the submit button works or not, right? If we have a other page for the submit button to take the users. So that is where MVP comes in, right? MVP is the bare minimum version of the idea that you can use to test what you have learned and what you have ideated, and to test a new hypothesis, right? It's very, very minimal product, right? Very minimal version that you basically need. It's only the things that you need to go out and test with users, test adoptions, and test a planned feature that if it is helping or not. The idea here is to lower cost and time required, right, to get from an idea to learning about the mistakes or the failures or the successes as well, right? Not necessarily at every idea you fail, but there could also be successes there, right? So that is what MVP lets you do, right? MVP basically minimizes the whole lean startup loop, right? And doing that, say if you have a runway of a month, right? Using minimum viable product, you could reduce your time through that loop to 1 a week. You would be able to do 4 iterations, whereas if you were not looking at MVPs, right, you may take the whole month to build something out, and at the end of the month you would you may realize that it does not work or the users are not using it. So the use for MVP is basically for us to sort of validate those ideas, but in a very minimal time frame, right? And this is basically where I would want to leave it. This is the last topic that I want to discuss here, right? It's a loop, right? If we looked at it, it's a infinite loop, right? If I want to, it will keep on going, right? So how far do we take it, right? Till when does the loop keep going? And that is an interesting thing. It's an interesting consideration here, right? Is the answer, in our gut feelings? Do we, do it by, are we feeling this is good enough, or, is this now the time for us to leave ideation and, go build the product? Uh, Answer is not exactly, right? The thing is, this answer has to be somewhat quantitative, right? As in something that we can measure or something that we can, tangibly interact or understand. But it's only somewhat quantitative, right? So the lean startup is a loop, as a loop is an optimization problem, right? What we are starting with is an idea, right? And the goal is to optimize it for it to be, a successful business out there, right? Sustainable business out there. And that we do across the loops iteratively. For each loop, we change something, we look, does it work better? For each iteration, right? We change something and we look at, are the metrics getting better? So what are the limits to an optimization problem, right? It's basically just like any other optimization problem that we do, that you must be doing in college. The limit is diminishing returns, right? So what we look at, right, when we start on the lean startup journey in the lean loop, for a feature, for an idea, for a complete product, right? When we start on that journey, you start with a goal, right? The goal, as we are talking about, is sustainable business, right? Making it into a sustainable business. But for your idea, that it being a sustainable business would have some goals, right? Some measurable goal. For example, for us as Cognilements, it would be ticket size, right? How much can I charge a client of mine, right? Versus how much money I have to spend delivering that, right? That is my limit, or that is my goal, basically, right? And in setting the goal, we decide, like this is the point I want it to be optimum at, right? Say my margin optimization is at 2x. My revenue from a client needs to be twice of what I spend delivering a project. Now, when we start, right, first thing we do is we need to get a baseline, right? We go out there, get a client, try to get a client and understand how much, a client would be okay to pay for what we are building, right? That is the baseline to begin with. We haven't started optimizing the idea. That is just baseline of what I have to offer right now, right? And that is probably going to be very bad compared to our goal, right? Say we are thinking of a ticket size of 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs something, right? And my baseline is somewhere at 20k, 30k, right? And my baseline in terms of costs with the vendors or team itself is at is at 50k, 60k for the project to be delivered, minimum cost. So that is our baseline. It can be pretty bad. Like for us, it was pretty bad. So that baseline is sort of the measurement of current state, right? Before we start, what is the state right now? And the next thing here is we go through the loop. We keep going through the loop. We ideate, build, measure, analyze, and learn, and keep doing that on repeat, right? But we keep a very close eye on on the gains that we are getting at every loop, right? Say if I tweak something and the gain is 10%, right? I need to ensure that every time we are changing something, right? We are looking at that gain. That gain may go plus 10% or that gain may go minus 10%. But we will always know what is working and which ideas are not working, which ideas are working how much, right? But the last step is where we get out of the loop, right? And at that point, either it is the most happy situation that the measurements have meet the goal, right? that have optimized, that have successfully optimized the situation, right? And the second is if it does not meet the goal, right? What if it is inching towards the goal, but it is basically the gains that we are getting from each iteration are getting smaller and smaller, right? So that is basically what is known as diminishing returns in an optimization problem, right? At that point, it basically gets trickier, right? Because diminishing returns without reaching the goals means current line of ideation has run its course of providing, measurable improvements. There is no more improvements that we could probably get out of the current line of ideas that we are, pursuing. Now, here's where a sort of gut feeling or intuitive call needs to be taken. That is where the decisions come in starting your own company, right? So here the call that needs to be taken is if the improvements we have had till now, are they good enough, right? That we persevere with that idea, or do we want to, or do we want to look at pivoting to a completely new idea? So that's all from my side in terms of lean startup. Yeah.
Right. So I will be adding few things, guys. Considering, so this is what Akshay has presented. We have been uh, trying and rigorously following because making a startup, it's not that easy. But if you follow a proper process, when I say a proper process, that means like from step 1 to 2 to 3, it cannot be an accident. Accidental startups do not exist. You need to plan it out. You really need to put your efforts. I don't know how many hours we work together. There is no counting to that. The only thing we understand from day one that we believe in one thing, we have to execute, and it cannot be assumptive in nature. It needs to be planned. It needs to be proper. Maybe whatever the content is showcased right now is bouncer for you. But if you are looking forward to start your startup in any given point of time, this could be the Bible, because this is not even curated from online. This is purely our practical experience of uh, bringing this company from 3 employees to 32 to 50, which would be in next few days. And it would grow. I don't know, and neither Akshay knows that when we will succeed or when we will fail. We just know one thing, that when we go further with the market demands, we need to keep on changing. And the lean management is very, very, very important. I suppose that's the time what was being given to us from 2:30 to 3:30, and I would request if there are any questions, would be happy to answer it. No questions are stupid. You can ask any questions. Would be happy to answer. This might be a thorough bouncer for you, but we'll try to appreciate and see how we can accommodate your questions, and we'll try to mellow it down. But somewhere, trust me, this is the raw truth that we need to read this syllabus to build a lean startup. Yeah, over to the moderators here.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge with us and giving your most valuable time for. Now, I would like to invite Professor Jia Hiremat ma'am to propose the vote of thanks.
Yes, Aarti,
Is there going to
any
be
student
Q&A?
wants to ask question? Is there any question from the audience? Like any student wish to ask something, you are free to ask. Most
You
of the
can put in
students
the
are
chat
from
box
B.
also.
Yes, you can post your questions in the chat box also.
Any students are there to ask the question?
Participants, now you can unmute your mic. If you have any question, you can ask your question.
Yes, now the rights have been granted. Now you can unmute and ask. Okay. Okay, I think there are no questions from student side. Yeah, in the meanwhile, Samudra, can you throw some light on that Sambhav challenge, entrepreneurship challenge, which just recently occurred, Amazon?
Sure, I'll do that. So what happened is like we first participated in this Pune University Incubation Center, competition, and afterwards we were quite focused on building the product. And somehow somebody shared one link to us on one particular day that there is a India level startup challenge which is happening, and we said okay fine we'll participate. So it was around where near about thousands of participants participated, and you had to answer certain questions which were like quite pretty much about the fundamentals of your startup. Once that is being done, there is another round which was quite web based where you need to enter some more details based on the journey you have come across, and that was like from that to round of 850. From the round of 850 we came down to round of 100 where they gave us a proper question paper uh, which we had to sit, and it was the time allotted was 48 hours to revert back. And during that time, we Akshay was COVID positive, and even we had a time where we had to work out and finish that particular document. And after that, I turned COVID positive in between. And when the results got declared, we had been moved to top 15. Uh, when it happened, so it was more of a 10 minutes round where you need to talk about your company in just 4 minutes, and 6 minutes where the jury members can ask you any sort of question. And we were quite happy because we're the youngest startup over there in terms of the number of years. We were the only B2B company and a proper technology platform company who were part of it. Uh, so then they had some questions like what's your EBITDA, what's your margin, the other components, and that's where it took it to us. So currently, and then later on, it was quite good experience for us also because there were venture capitalists like Ivy Ventures, Bloom Ventures, Amazon Startup Foundation was part of it, and we were presenting that idea in front of pioneers of the industry, and we felt quite happy because when they asked the questions, what market segment we are targeting and what we are trying to do, is where it is quite pleasing that we are creating an ecosystem which would be in future a bigger thing. We don't know how it will go, but we are pretty sure about this will make a huge amount of change how people perceive customer experience as uh, two words altogether.
Okay, so really that is a very commendable journey, and being
Thank
amongst
you.
the top 15, yes, that is really a very great achievement. Okay, now I call upon Hirimat madam to propose vote of thanks. Yeah, over to you, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to one and all. I, Professor Gurudevi Hiremot, working as Assistant Professor in Electrical Engineering Department. I take this privilege to express oath of thanks of today's webinar on Lean Startup or Minimum Viable Product and Business is arranged in association with Institution Innovation Council.
I first of all thank our management, our beloved principal, Sir Dr. S.D. Navale, sir, and our vice principal, Dr. R.T. Vyavahare, sir, for allowing to organize this webinar on lean startup and minimum viable product or business. Now, I wholeheartedly thank our today's resource persons, Mr. Samudragupta Talukdar, founder and CEO of Cognilements, and Mr. Akshay Khochikar, Chief of Product and Innovation, co-founder of Cognilements. In this busy schedule, they have taken up time for conducting the webinar for our students. The session was very excellent and effective. I'm sure that our students have taken up many inputs from this, and also they have become aware of startup and business, and they can use these inputs in their future consignments. Once again, I thank you to both of you, sir. Now I thank President of IIC Cell Professor S.T. Jagtap, sir, Coordinator and Vice President of IIC Cell Professor M.H. Naikwadi, sir, and Convener of IIC Cell Professor G.I. Patel, madam, and HOD of Organizing Department, Electrical Engineering Department, Professor V.S. Biradar, sir. I also thank Ms. Aarti Kuntafale, President of ETUSA, for anchoring this program. I also thank all the faculty members. Last but not least, our student delegates for participating in this webinar. Once again, I thank to all with the permission of DIAS members, I declare that the program is concluded. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, special thanks to Professor S.Q. Mulla sir also for taking all care of the technical arrangement, technical backup of the organizing of on the MS team. So with this, I declare that the function is closed. Okay. So thank you everybody. Thanks to one and all. Thank you.
Thank you.